1200 PWC Vertical Lift Product Assembly Instructions. To begin, carefully review all warning and risk factors before starting the assembly of your 1200 PWC Vertical Boat Lift. In this video, we'll cover lift assembly instructions, installation instructions, operating instructions, safety and maintenance. Lift assembly instructions. Fully read and understand each step before proceeding with that step. For ease of assembly, find a flat area with plenty of room to assemble the lift. The following tools will be needed for assembling the lift: 2 9/16" wrenches, 2 3/4" wrenches, measuring tape, sharp knife or razor, tin snips to open bundle. Note: only hand tighten bolts and nuts until lift is completely assembled. Insert all 4 leg posts into foot pads. Secure using 1 3/8 by 2 1/2 hex bolt and 1 3/8 flange nut in each place. Insert all 4 leg posts into lift sides. At the desired height, secure with 1 3/8 by 2 1/2 hex bolt, 1 3/8 flat washer, and 1 3/8 flange nut in each place. Place the lift sides 5 feet apart. Attach the bottom beam to each lift side with 1 3/8 by 6 hex bolt, 1 3/8 flat washer, and 1 3/8 flange nut at each place. Position the bottom beam with the holes for the braces toward the bottom. Attach each I-beam to a lift side with 1 1/2 by 4 1/2 hex bolt, 2 1/2 flat washers, and 1 1/2 nylock nut in 2 places. The spacer on the I-beam should be positioned at the bottom. Place 1 1/2 flat washer on the 1/2 nylock nut side, and 1 1/2 flat washer between the I-beam spacer and the lift side. No washer is used on the head of the 1/2 by 4 1/2 hex bolt. The nuts should be on the inside of the lift. Do not over-tighten nylock nuts. Do not reuse nylock nuts. If a nylock nut is removed, it must be replaced with a new nylock nut. Attach each rack side to the I-beams with 1 1/2 by 3 1/2 hex bolt, 2 1/2 flat washers, and 1 1/2 nylock nut in each corner. Place 1 1/2 flat washer on the 1/2 by 3 1/2 hex bolt side, and 1 1/2 flat washer between the rack side and the I-beam. No washer is used on the head of the 1/2 nylock nut. The nuts should be on the inside of the lift. Attach 1 pulley with 3 chain links to the bottom of each rack side, and secure with 1 3/8 by 3 hex bolt, 2 3/8 flat washers, and 1 3/8 nut. Attach each support brace to the bottom beam and 1 lift side in 2 places. Attach the whole side of the support brace to 1 lift side with 1 3/8 by 2 3/4 hex bolt, 1 3/8 flat washer, and 1 3/8 flange nut. Attach the slot side of the support brace to the bottom beam with 1 3/8 by 2 hex bolt, 1 3/8 flat washer, and 1 3/8 flange nut. On the side of the lift to which the winch will be attached, slide the pulley with the 2 chain links onto a 3/8 by 4 U-bolt, and insert the 3/8 by 4 U-bolt through the 2 holes on the lift side upright. On the opposite side, slide the winch cable onto a 3/8 by 4 U-bolt, and insert the 3/8 by 4 U-bolt through the holes on the lift side upright. Secure each 3/8 by 4 U-bolt with 2 large 3/8 flange nuts. Route the winch cable through the 2 pulleys with 3 chain links and 1 pulley with 2 chain links, as shown. Insert the winch cable through the hole in the winch hub and create a loop around the square hole. Secure with 1 1/4 by 3/4 carriage bolt, 1 cable clamp, and 1 1/4 nut with star washer, as shown in detail A. Attach the winch to the left side upright with 2 3/8 by 3 1/4 hex bolts and 2 3/8 flange nuts. Thread the wheel clockwise onto the wheel shaft until it touches the brake pad. The wheel must be fully against the brake pad, and a clicking sound must be heard when turning the wheel up. Using a sharp knife or razor blade, cut a small hole in the middle of the wheel, where the wheel sticker covers the attaching bolt hole. Secure wheel to winch using one 5/16 by 1 1/2 hex bolt, one 5/16 lock washer, and one wheel spacer. Thread excess cable onto winch hub by turning the wheel clockwise. Be sure cable wraps tight and uniformly on hub, with each strand lying snugly next to the adjustment strand. Keep tension on the cable by holding it tight when turning the wheel to develop a proper wrap. Do not allow cable to wind up loosely on hub. Installation instructions. Situations will widely vary between installation sites. ShoreMaster recommends that your dealer or other trained boat lift installer train you and perform the initial installation. The following are guidelines or suggestions for installation. Measure the water depth of the position you want to locate the lift. Measurements should be taken at both the projected position of the end nearest shore and the end furthest from shore. Before installing, adjust lift legs so the boat can float into position before raising, while still allowing a high enough position that the boat can be fully raised up and out of the water. Carry, lift, or slide the lift into position alongside the dock. Ensure that your lift is level. Measure the distance from the top of the crossbeam to the water surface. The distance at each of the four corners of the lift should be within 2 inches of each other. If they are not, adjust the legs accordingly. Position the bunk bracket to fit watercraft so that it does not come into contact with the frame of the lift. After loading and operating the lift, proceed to the operating instructions, remove the boat, and recheck that the lift remains level. Operating instructions. Now that you have installed and leveled the lift, you are ready to raise your boat for the first time. Prior to use, see to it that everyone who may use the lift looks upon the unit not as a toy, but as a piece of heavy equipment that deserves your respect and good judgment. Before allowing anyone to operate the lift, be sure they fully understand the proper operating procedure. Do not exceed maximum capacity of the lift. Overloading may cause mechanical failure and serious personal injury. Do not allow anyone who is in the water within 6 feet of the lift. Do not allow anyone on, in, or under the lift while operating. When operating the lift, the following procedures should be adhered to. Be sure the lift rack and cradles or bunks are positioned below the water surface so that they will not interfere with the boat floating into position. Properly balance and center the boat on the lift prior to raising. The boat should be positioned with the center of gravity near the middle of the lift. For most rear-engine mounted boats, this requires you to position the boat forward in the lift. Turn wheel in direction of arrow, clockwise, to raise lift. A clicking sound is heard when properly raising the lift. Turning the wheel and wrapping the cable in the wrong direction may cause fast spin down of the wheel. Carefully bring the lift up until the bunks or cradles have secured the boat. Then, stop the lift and check to see that the bunks or cradles have automatically positioned themselves to the shape of the hull, as they are designed to do. If so, continue bringing the boat out of the water until it is about 1 foot above the surface. Stop the lift again and check the stability of the lift, particularly to see that it is fairly level and will not topple over. Finally, continue lifting the boat while paying close attention to the positioning of the lift until it is at its desired height. After loading and operating the lift, remove the boat and recheck that the lift remains level. If the lift is not level, the legs should be adjusted accordingly. Because the lift may settle and become unbalanced, the lift levelness should be rechecked 2 weeks after installation and periodically as needed. If the lift is without a boat in it for more than 1 day, Raise the rack, pulleys, fully out of the water to help prevent corrosion of these parts. Always make sure that the boat is stored high enough out of the water to avoid wave action against the hull. A moving boat because of wave action will damage the lift and can take the boat off of the lift. Safety and maintenance. Do not overraise the lift rack. The cantilever rack will stop moving once in the up position. Over-raising could cause damage to winch, cables, or other parts. Do not over-lower rack so that slack develops in cable. Doing so could cause cable to jump off winch spool. This may result in sloppy wrapping of cable the next time you raise the lift, resulting in premature wear or cable breaking. Turn wheel down 1 or 2 turns past point when craft begins to float. This must always be at some point before lift rack is contacting rear bottom beam. Then turn the wheel up slightly until clicking sound is heard to secure the wheel position and brake on winch. Properly cover your boat or pull your boat's plug when the boat is in a raised position. Rainwater accumulating in your bilge can quickly increase your gross weight over the capacity of the lift. Do not leave the lift or a boat on the lift in water if ice formation is possible. Ice can severely damage your boat lift. Check cable for frays, corrosion, or breaks at least once a month. A cable breaking while the boat is in the lift could damage the boat or the lift. Severe bodily injury could also occur. Spring and fall checks. Inspect nuts and bolts for damage, wear, or loose connections. Tighten or replace parts as needed. Inspect lift frame, pulleys, winch, and pivot points for unusual wear, damage, or bent parts. Replace or repair as needed. Lubricate winch and wheel threads. Do not get lubricant on brake pads. The brake will fail and the wheel will spin down if the brake pads are lubricated. Check and lubricate pulleys to ensure that they are turning freely.